So today we were going to highlight your 2 weeks of camping experience with Russ and Vanessa in the camper when you came to the US and you had seen our pictures and kept saying, I want to do this. I want to get out there. I want to do this. But first, an introduction from my mom. She is her name Ingrid Gray. She is was born in West Berlin, Germany during World War II. So 3 years old when she had to live through all of that. And what an overcomer. She has been through so many obstacles and just pops up every time, pops the head up and says, let's turn our lemons to lemonade. That's what I grew up having her say. And she has traveled the world. When she left Germany, she became a nanny in London, first worked somewhere else and then became a nanny. So learned English by being a nanny for 4 children with these, highly educated parents. I think they were in the education world, huh? And she took care of these kids.
He was the political attaché at the American embassy, and she was British.
Okay, British, yeah. So she took care of these kids. She still keeps in touch with them. I think at least one has passed, but she will fly to the US to all ends of the earth and still keeps in touch with these people that she raised, these kids that are now grown, that are in their 60s and 70s. Lisa's in her 70s. And
died. Parents both died, so I'm the only connection to their past.
So that was her introduction to England. Learned English better than American. She can write fluent English. I mean, her papers in school when she went to school and got her GED in the US, amazing. The teachers are like, look at the grammar, but that's what happens when foreigners come to America and learn English. So yeah, that's what her youth was and her upbringing. And then she met my dad in Europe. Tell us a little about Europe, Paris, right? So
I know, but there is a film, American in Paris. That's why I say. Have you never seen that movie, Vanessa?
I don't think I have. I need to put it on my list.
You should see if it is on Netflix, yeah? An American in Paris.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it either. Yeah.
Oh,
amazing.
So I have to watch that. But that's how she met my dad, a tall, dark, handsome, Black American, Cherokee, Native American, Indian. I don't know all his history, but he's passed away, so I can't ask him more details. But they met in Europe there in Paris, and boy, he must have been a different sight in that day and age, huh? In the 60s, walking the street. And you had no fear to meet that man, huh? Fear maybe of skiing at 82, but you saw this guy and said, whoa, what is that?
It was love at first sight, but it didn't last.
Love at first sight.
Well, it was probably a one-sided love affair.
Yeah, that's another story. We don't have time to go into that. But yeah, and then they got married and ended up traveling the world together, as he was a diplomat for the US Embassy and she was the diplomat's wife extraordinaire, just handling everything in the back scene, from the kids to the elaborate parties, hosting, dignitaries, and she's done it all. Wherever we moved, Ingrid would learn the language of the native country. We lived in Brazil, she was learning Portuguese. We lived in Tunisia, she went to the university and learned how to write a little in Arabic. She learned how to cook.
University, I went to the American Embassy and took a...
Oh, it was American Embassy. Okay, I thought you were at Bourguiba University. So correction, the American Embassy. And she learned how to cook all these foreign dishes too. Wherever we went, she picked up these meals. And when we get together in person, all we want to do is eat all these foreign dishes that she's learned to create. So there's a little nutshell of Oma. And now she's living in Garmisch-Partenkirchen in Bavaria. When she retired 20 years ago after working for a government contracting company in the US, she was deciding where does she want to live her life and where could she see herself even dying. She was really planning out to the end days. And it came between Asheville, North Carolina, and Bavaria. Very close toss up because she wanted to be in the mountains. She's a hiker. She needed to get into nature. And Garmisch won just by serendipity and a series of events that got her little apartment that she rents out and lives like a minimalist and travels everywhere. You'll get an email, off to Egypt now, I'm going to the Nile River, off to here, off to there. So it's hard to keep up with where Ingrid is in the world. But I caught her in November 4th for this call. So thank you, Muti, for joining. We had to do a little Zoom training too the last few days because, we're always throwing new things at her. A new phone, a new iPhone, a new this, a new that. This poor woman with all the changes that she has to encounter. And I'm proud of you, Muti. She's always like, okay, show me how to do it, It's work, right, Muti?
Yeah.
But you did it. We're on. So let's talk a little bit about the camping life. How did it happen? I believe you just saw pictures and you kept hearing about our camper and you said, I want to do this one day. I want to join you one day. I have to experience this. No, that's not your story. Tell me your story.
My story is that was always a fetish of mine. I consider van life the ultimate of freedom.
Mhm.
You cannot live any more free than doing a van life. So it was always in my background or in the back of my mind. And I have told Vanessa and Russ that I would like to, before I die, I would like to take the Canadian highway and go with them on the Alaskan highway. And of course, you know, you always say, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. And it never happened. But then when we were in Florida together, they had this, what I call a luxury van. But it is made for two. And they have two cute little dogs, which don't trouble at all, but they are still dogs. And, you know, they have a certain smell on them. And one dog sheds hair like crazy. You know, if they make a movement, the hair is just all over, which is not quite my lifestyle. I'm in general a little bit more. I tend to try a little bit more hygienic, and yeah. So anyway, it just so happened I got put in the car and off we went.
You got put in the car. You make it sound like I forced you in there. You were talking about, I want to experience, I want to camp. And so
No,
put in the car.
actually, you did, Vanessa. You did encourage me to do that, but of course, I had to, you know, get used to listening to whatever Russ says. Her husband is definitely in control. So, you know, like he gets up and he said, okay, 20 minutes, we're taking off. We are driving today. Okay. Okay. You know, so it was a very controlled trip, but it was wonderful. From time to time, I told him you have to hit a parking place or a national park or something because I need to take a shower. I mean, that was just a little demanding on me. But we experienced different sleeping attempts. You know, him on the floor, me on the floor, the dogs on the floor, the dogs with him, Vanessa and I in the bed. And one night we were all three in the bed because we watched television together, all three in one bed. And then, of
Full
course, we
size.
couldn't sleep. And
Full
I said,
size bed.
see, it's possible. We can sleep all three in one queen-sized mattress bed, whatever.
Full size, not queen size. It's a
Full
big
size,
difference. Full
whatever.
size.
It was a real adventure for me. But as I said before, it's the most liberating and the most carefree way to live, especially if I don't have to drive the car and I don't have to worry about a flat tire. And, you know, I had a chauffeur who could handle every situation. Her husband is a total outdoor nut. I think if it comes to him, he doesn't even need a house. He could be living in a tent for the rest of his life. But my daughter was quite different. Vanessa was when she was 16, 17, she was a model, and she actually did beauty competitions. And
Really just to gain confidence and to get scholarships.
ever no scholarships, no. But in any case, she converted totally to what her
Evolve.
husband's lifestyle is. And now she's very comfortable in just living in the van or living on the boat. She's still dreaming about having a more elaborate boat or having a more elaborate van or whatever. But altogether, I have to say, I'm astonished how she changed.
Mindset. I did the Peace Corps too in Africa. I lived in a mud hut with, sand floors and
The first change you did is after I had starved you to do all this beauty competitions.
very
She
bad.
went to college, and I went to visit her, I think after 6 months. And I took one look at her and I said, this is my daughter, my Lord. She had started to do rowing, and her body, who was, slender and fragile and all this, had become muscular. And I said, oh my Lord, look at your arms, look at your size. And she said, well, I'm having fun. And I said, okay, this is, if it makes her happy, then let her do rowing and ruin her figure and her looks and everything. Because it doesn't matter how you look as long as you're happy. So anyway, to get back to the van life, I am totally hooked on living in a van. Even so, it was not a luxury trip, but I'm totally hooked and convinced that everybody who has a van made a good choice in life. And right now, because of Corona, van life has exploded. If I would tell you how many vans or mobile homes are on the road compared to other cars, they are outnumbered. You see more vans, mobile homes, camper cars, whatever on the road than normal cars. At least it is like this in Europe. I don't know how it is in America, but here it's overwhelming. And every time I see a van, I rejoice because I have a good memory of the 2 weeks of van life. I could have done more.
And the reason we were rushed was only because you had a plane ticket back to Germany. That's why we had a schedule and we were committing to see your friends along the way. Every other day, I made sure she was in a home with people she knew that for years, we planned the whole course so she can go stay in a bed and sleep in a shower. And then there was a day or two roughing it. And we do have a shower in the van. It's just filled with a lot of luggage and all her luggage for Germany, and I overpack. So that's why she liked the state parks for showering. She would go in the state park and turn.
Sounds not really the way it is. I am traveling with one suitcase, a small suitcase, or let's say medium suitcase, and a bag. I have learned that the best way to travel is to have one of those bags which you pull behind you, so I don't have to carry anything. And I fill that up with shoes, because shoes take so much space away in a suitcase. And then I have the whole suitcase just for my clothes. Most of the time, I have the problem of having to pack for summer and for winter. If I only pack for summer, it's wonderful. No problem. Even if I only pack for winter, I can do that too. But if you have to pack for two different, it's a little complicated.
I commend her for her packing. your packing job is amazing. She comes to the US with the US, that same little red suitcase. I think it's lost wheels from Samsonite. She'll get it replaced and fixed again. She keeps that thing together in one little roller bag. And I'm like, wow, she's coming for like months. And
I'm traveling now with a spare wheel.
She's travels with a spare wheel because the wheel keeps popping off. She doesn't want to deal with a new. I'm like, just go to Walmart, get a new suitcase. But again, when you grew up in World War II,
I love
you
that
fixed everything.
suitcase. I love that suitcase. It will last me.
Yeah.
It will last me. Anyhow, the only problem I had is if I had the luxury, I would like to take a shower every day, living in a van. For
It
that,
can be done. It can be done. If I pack less stuff, I'm the one, clearing up the shower with a lot of my stuff and dresses. And we just went to Ohio and back. So like you, I had to pack for seasons. I had my winter coat, hat, gloves, because we're going into, winter season up there, even in the fall, and then down to the bathing suits in the drawers. So it takes up more space, like you say, when you pack in 2 seasons.
yeah, my daughter is not the best packer. She is not, how can I say, very economical in her packing attempts.
It's a work in progress.
When she was smaller and we traveled anywhere, I kind of had to redo her suitcase. And her husband does the same thing now. He goes in there, he says, we don't need this, we don't need that, you don't need this.
So true.
Actually, what we were doing in the van, I took her shopping and I bought her some nice clothes. And she said, now Russ is going to have a fit if he sees those clothes, I said, yeah, I know. And we were hiding.
This is one of them. This is one of the outfits.
I love it.
We were hiding her new wardrobe in the van.
He would go in the backyard and she stood at the van door and I said, Mom, hurry, come. And I would throw her my hangers, clothes on hangers, and she was running in the back and sticking it, hiding it, tuck it behind the shower. I said, all these pretty clothes, they're perfect for, sundresses in Florida. I have to have them with us. She helps me. She helps me.
But in any case, it's my van life situation. It was absolutely wonderful. My daughter is very loving with me. But I still have to kind of do as I'm told. And after a while, that got a little hard for me because I'm used to living by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Are you single, you ladies? You're not?
Yeah.
One is, Maureen is, Julia, no.
Well, Julia has a Romeo. Yeah, I would encourage everybody. If I had something to say, I would encourage everybody to try at least one time in their lives.
Mm-hmm. And rent one, right? If you don't want to buy one, rent one to experience it.
That's whatever way you feel comfortable with. You don't, you, for example, if you come and visit me, you wouldn't bring your van, you would come here and rent one. So I'm still dreaming about doing the Alaskan Highway. Even so, I have seen a video of somebody doing it, and I said, well, it looks actually extremely boring because it's always straight on, flat, and all you see is some funny people living along the highway, and they try to sell maybe some coffee or a hot dog or whatever. It didn't look very enticing to me. As far as stimulation is concerned, it would be better to take a trip to Japan or to China. Or right now, I'm kind of dreaming about taking a boat, a ship to the Antarctica.
Mm.
Now, I have to tell you, I'm going on 84. I have just figured out with Vanessa, I have 5 more months before I'm 84. And I'm starting to feel my age. And I also noticed that my desire to take trips has diminished during COVID. I got very much used to just having my daily routine, walking to the supermarket and back. And well, I did go hiking. I think that's what kept me going, because you can get easily depressed by being so isolated. But being able to go into nature, go hiking, and be surrounded by trees and rocks and whatever made me very happy. So whenever I could feel that I'm getting a little low in my mood, I said, leave everything the way it is. Let's go out. And then I always come balanced back home.
Mm.
Now
I like that.
this you, Maureen, with your hysterectomy. I had a hysterectomy at a very young age, but there was no way I could have done anything else, because I had a tumor as big as a baby's head in my uterus. And I actually was reacting. I went to the doctor and I said, I'm pregnant. And he said, I'm sorry, it's not a baby what you have in there. So then they did a biopsy. And when I saw what kind of a mess I have inside my body, I agreed to. But I went to 2 different doctors to make sure. And then I was evacuated to Panama City.
Mm.
And I was only 30, 38, 39. And of course, then I went on to hormones. And when I came to Germany, estrogen, when I came to Germany, they said, oh, you shouldn't take those pills. They are cancer producing. And I think 3 years ago, when I was with Vanessa, I was determined to have breast cancer. So I told them I have been taking estrogen, and it's hormone based. And I said to the doctor, I have been taking estrogen for 25 years. And they said, this is a long time ago. This has nothing to do with it. But I know it has something to do with it. So now I'm taking medication to suppress my hormone production. Whatever damage that is going to do to me, I don't know. But I would prefer to just live without any kind of medication. I'm fighting it. Unfortunately, I had, the last time I was in the US, I had a mini stroke, and now they put me on something to bring down my cholesterol. I never had a cholesterol problem. I always had high cholesterol, but my doctor said my good cholesterol outweighs the bad. So, right now I got off the pill because I ran out of it, and I want to see a doctor and have my cholesterol checked, because they say if you had a stroke, you should continue to take that pill, even if your cholesterol level is good. So What do you say to that, Julia?
I'm no doctor.
Are
It
you
sounds
taking
weird.
a lot of pills?
No, no, I don't really care what the doctor says. I'll do whatever I want. I don't know if that's the smartest thing to do all the time, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it sounds like you don't need it anymore, then why not try without for a while?
That's the way I function too.
And like I'm working like with women, and like there's this thing called estrogen dominance, which is a huge problem for a lot of ladies. You know, it's all this PMS and cramps and moods because we have too much of it, and it's not because we produce too much, it's because we'll take it up from the environment. There's like those they're called endocrine disrupting chemicals, so they're actually messing with our estrogen metabolism. So it's not just our hormones, it's also all the crap that we expose to, and no one tells us about it, right? So.
That's right. Yes, I have seen lately something from farmers, and they said we are not even having the slightest idea what is in the ground. You know, we talk about bio and everything is pure and all this. And he said a lot of crap goes into the ground. So we eat it, we smell it, we drink it. Water comes from the ground too. So I don't know. But maybe it is just simply that we have to come to accept that we all are born to die. And what we are doing is we are interfering with nature in heavy ways. I mean, I am amazed now how many young women want to absolutely get pregnant, and they do the wildest things to get pregnant. For example, I know of a girl who has tried to get pregnant for years, and then she went to Romania, and there she got the sperm of a woman that has been fertilized, implanted, and she now has a baby. But you know, I think this is all messing too much around, interfering with nature. I might be wrong. I should say maybe it's good that God is giving us, or some people, so much wisdom that they can, outsmart the system, so to speak. But I'm just amazed with all the things we are doing in our days, including prolonging our age, including me. I sometimes think maybe I just should get off all the pills and just live for as long as God wants me to live, without trying to live longer. My mother had an irregular heartbeat, and they told her she needs a pacemaker. And she said, I don't take a pacemaker. God will let this heart beat as long as he wants to. You know, that's a wonderful decision to make, because that's actually accepting destiny. What is my daughter doing?
Just powerful words of wisdom, always from my mother. Makes me cry.
Yeah.
I'm the
Yeah.
cry coach.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of that. Ingrid, have you heard the term health span?
health span.
Mhm.
No,
So if this is somewhat new, used by some of my mentors. I've studied a lot of Ayurveda. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
yes.
And yeah, health span is because you, my goddess, are probably more healthy than a lot of even 20 and 30-year-olds. And so health span is basically, thriving, vibrant health at any age without any kind of medication or anything to that masks the body wisdom, so to speak. And so no, I don't think you're wrong. I think you do have a lot of wisdom, and thank you so much for sharing your story about the estrogen and all that. And I firmly believe that. And I never took anything regardless of the hysterectomy, because I had started to study Ayurveda and body wisdom and all of that. And I knew the risks of
No,
that.
in India, I have done Ayurveda in India
Nice.
for 2 weeks. Mhm.
Beautiful. Yeah, I appreciate your wisdom and your sharing it for sure.
Well, I am leaning more towards homeopathic medicine, if at all. And I think you have to listen to your own body. I had yesterday, I had not a good day. I just didn't feel right. So, instead of saying, okay, I have to do something here or there, I just go to bed. And today I feel better again.
Mhm.
I think the body does a lot of natural healing itself.
For sure. Mhm.
Now, you're fascinating people, but I guess we have to say bye-bye. Vanessa has a job to do.
Yeah, very soon. I just was going to add too, if you see how she lives too, she has a mini fridge. It's kind of like a college dorm fridge would be in the US. None of this double freezer fridge all over. And she just buys and eats what she needs for the day, for the next few
I
days.
go daily to the store and I buy what I want to eat. I have fresh food. I don't have frozen food. I just buy fresh stuff, and then I either eat it raw. I love salads, and or I make a soup,
Yeah.
string bean soup, and I don't need to put meat in it. I put some potatoes in it, and that's fine. I mean, my way of feeding is very simple, and I have to laugh because right now in Germany, the politicians are dramatizing you with, no more gas from Putin, and how are we going to get through the winter? And I say, well, you just have to put on more clothes. And instead of putting your heating up to, which is a sin in America, you put your heating up to, what do I know, 40, 20, 30 degrees. We just keep it at 18 and we dress warm. And if I have cold feet, I go to bed. I don't see any catastrophe in not getting any more gas from Putin. I might be the only one who feels that way, but the thing is, our nourishment, the prices have gone up double and triple. And, I even say there, if it is too expensive, I don't buy it. I can always buy some carrots, some potatoes, some, what is it? I have porridge. I can eat oatmeal. I'm not worried about uh, dying of hunger. It's just
You were born in the
people try.
1930s. You were born in a generation and
I
then
said,
living through a World War II.
your money evaluated. I said, so what? I have lived without money. I have lived without food. The first 6 years of my life, I had nothing to eat. So, I went through the trash cans. It doesn't. Now, I cannot say that everybody should think that way, because you cannot do that unless you have experienced it.
Mhm.
I tell my kids I had to walk to school for half an hour, summer, winter, snow, rain, whatever. They are used to being picked up with a school bus. But whatever was in your background, it kind of stays with you. I have a high regard towards food, and I feel very sad when I open here, even in Germany, we have trash cans, which is just for bio. And I look in there and they have thrown away bread, little buns, green, red, and yellow peppers, and nothing is wrong, but they are going away for the weekend and they throw everything they have in their fridge in the bio container, because when they come back, it's not fresh anymore. And yesterday I saw a very interesting program. There was a lady who had the idea of going to the markets in the morning, where all the people go to, the owners of the shops, they all go to a market early in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock, okay? They drive an hour to get to this market, and then they buy all the goods for the store and resell them. While she goes there and she takes all the food that has been rejected by the people who buy the food for their stores. And the food might not be perfect anymore, like they want to have it in the store to sell it. But she fills up a van and she says she cooks with it and she gives it to the poor. Great idea. And I always say,
They do that. Mhm.
it's really, when you think it through, I always say, people say there's not enough food in the world to feed everybody. Yes, there is. It's just distributed wrongly. It's just distributed wrongly. Just like money, some people have too much and others have too little. And it could be regulated, but nobody ever thinks of it, because most people say me first. And then the rest can see how they get through it. I like Julia's background. She is obviously a nature lover. She has a waterfall hanging on the wall.
Actually, no, it's Greenland.
What?
It's Greenland, like up in the Arctic.
Well, that's. But it looks like a waterfall. Maybe it's a glacier.
Yeah, well, it's Greenland and the Arctic ice sheet, because I used to spend the winter there, so it's kind of like, this is where we went.
You have children?
No, 2 cats, 2 American cats.
American cats. Yeah, it looks like a waterfall, for me, because I see the white glacier tongue coming down there.
Yeah,
Greenland, yeah. I've been to Iceland.
me
But-
too.
Yeah. So how you like to go to the Antarctica?
I haven't been to Antarctica. I have been to the Arctic. So I've been with the polar bears. It was cold and it was dark, but yeah, it was like, you can't compare it to anything else.
That's right.
It was a research expedition, and at the end we all had like this discussion, right? Like, we spent 5 months in the cold, in the Arctic, in the dark. So what else is there to top that experience? So we all agreed it would be like going to space. That's the only thing that would be left. So that's my life mission, to end up to go to space.
You want to go to space?
Yes. And I know there was like the European Space Agency, they were having like, I think it was like last year, they were announcing that they're looking for new astronauts. I was like, I would totally fit the bill, and it was totally easy to qualify, but I don't want to be an astronaut. I don't want to be training for 4 years and then maybe go on a space flight. I just want to go on the space flight. So if I have to wait 20 more years to, get on that flight, then I'll wait 20 more years, but I don't want to be an astronaut. I just want to go to space.
Then I can only tell you there's one possibility. Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that he has actually already sent twice people up into space, but you have to pay heavily.
I know, but that's how the development was in like, what, 10, 15 years? So with that rate of, progress, it's not going to take 20 more years.
I thought it was a waste of money, because how much excitement can you get when you go out in space for 10 minutes and then you come down again? I mean,
People have money, they want to spend it in different ways,
Well, there's the German Space Agency. They have a shipping container at our research station in Antarctica. And they're growing their own food there, like mainly salad and herbs, because nothing else really grows. But that's the reason behind it, is so to prepare for space missions.
Interesting.
So you're gonna grow that then out of space. The
Yeah,
vegetables and all this.
Yeah.
See how you survive.
It's called hydroponics, so you don't grow with with soil. You have like water and nutrients and light.
Yeah, they're doing it in Hawaii already. We used to get our salad from a guy who did hydroponics in his backyard. It was the best salad ever. It was butternut brand, and you texted him, he would leave you 1 or 2 lettuce heads. You'd leave a couple dollars in his little tip jar, like literally just cash on the porch. It was so organic and just free flowing. It was awesome. I missed that when we left Hawaii. I was like, where's my hydroponic guy now?
Mm-hmm.
But I am getting a tower from somebody, so I'm going to try one of those.
Oh, cool.
Ingrown tower
I'm
things
doing that
from
too. Yeah,
Juice Plus.
It's somewhat off the radar, but Elon Musk's brother, for the last like 5 years, he's had a huge movement of doing hydroponics in like trailers, and it's definitely so they can feed people.
We even have it outside our houses on the walls.
You can see vertical towers. I've seen it in cities. They grow up vertically.
Vegetables on the walls outside our house. Yeah. So there is a lot of things we can do to, improve our lifestyle if we are willing. I know.
So Muti, thank you so much.
Yeah,
We have to leave soon, but tell us one highlight about your camping trip. We talked a little bit about the lows and the uncomfortable. Tell us what was one of your favorite parts of the camping trip? A place we went, or something that happened or we did.
Actually, it was daily a new adventure, because sometimes we parked in the national or state park, and sometimes we just went into the boondocks, and I like that. Just pulling up from the road somewhere. And I think the most exciting night I had with you two was when we docked just there where there was a boat ramp.
In Maryland, we were
It
getting
was
close to
already
our daughter.
very dark. And Russ said, "Oh, let's just park here." And I said, "But Russ, what if a car comes at night?" "Ah," he said, that this is isolated. Nobody comes. Well, he was kind of wrong, because late in the evening, some locals came who wanted to do some night fishing. But in any case, he went fishing there and he came back
In the morning.
He had caught
You said it the other day.
snake.
Gator guard. It looked like an alligator, but it was a fish, and it runs on land and swims. It's some funky archaic thing. It was called a gator guard. Remember? Yeah, that was a memory, huh? He brought that thing to the van with his fishing rod.
It was a snakefish. Anyway, he brought this thing home, and this snakefish can live also on land. And it was just, hipping and jumping around. And it looks so ugly because it looks like a snake. And I have a dislike for snakes, maybe wrongly, but that's the way I'm threaded. So snakes are not really my favorite animals. And then I had to watch him kill the thing. And then he asked me to eat it.
It was a choice. We didn't force you, but then what? Did you enjoy it?
And it tasted all right, but it was still a snake to me. So anyway, that was the most, how can I say, memorable part of my trip.
Mm-hmm. I liked the Ocala region when we went to Rainbow River Springs State Park, and we were on the paddleboard, and your hands were hurting you, and I had a shoulder issue, so we were like invalids in this double kayak together that we rented. And of course, Russ had a mission. We were getting to the end of this lake and doing this thing, and then we float back with the water. And so he tied his paddleboard to
Yes.
our kayak so he could guide us and pull us. And people were all like, "Wow, look at your ride. I want to hang on that." And I'm like, "I can't use my shoulder, honey." And my mom is like, "My hands hurt." And so he pulled us. Remember that with the water?
Yeah,
That water was beautiful.
Yes, I remember that. But that was a little commercial too, you know what I mean? There were a lot of people there.
Yeah.
I prefer the isolation.
Like Russ, you like the boondocks.
Nice.
Oh, well,
I will ever be able to do the Alaskan Highway.
maybe we're still talking about it. Before, we never owned a van, so it was more talk, but now we're doing things. And then we tried to go through Canada to Alaska during the pandemic, and they wouldn't let us cross the border. So we were getting close. We went up to the border, one of the borders up there. We tried to see what it would be like. So hang on, Muti. Maybe we can make it happen. I mean, Russ talks about adding a teardrop trailer or something behind this, so you actually have your own space to sleep, and we pull it all along. It's going to turn into 50 feet instead of 20 feet something, but we need more space. We can't do this Alaska trip, in this 2-seater thing with someone rotating on the floor, or 3 in a full-size bed. But we can also get a larger vehicle, or maybe the drive there is boring, but we just fly there and then rent something there bigger and tour that area. That's an option. So we keep dreaming, because this group is the Van Life Dreamers, and we dream our way to our little realities here and there.